Chi.
What's up?
Economics and single parenthood.
Economics and single parenthood.
Today I want us to talk about this disparity between single parenthood, rural setup and urban setup.
Actually, yes.
You see?
Yeah.
I mean, because it has been really bothering my mind, differentiating which one has it a little bit better than the other. The one living in the urban setup or the one living in the rural setup. Because even in terms of poverty level, poverty index, there's always urban poor and rural poor.
But you
Urban
see,
rich
and
rural rich. So, hesabu za pesa.
But you see, the thing is,
mambo ni pesa. Pesa
utas.
Pesa utas. Now, unajua pesa utas is the only way to sustain life as it is right now. So imagine a situation. Imagine that disparity. Sijui unaonaje? Which one is slightly better if you compare the two?
I've always said single parents have different problems. Your problems are not my problems. Their problems are not our problems. But from different perspective, from different, let's say if you're looking at the rural and the urban, there are disadvantage and advantage in both sides. Because you'll find that in rural areas, they'll have like that social support. They'll have that, such kind of things. And then they will lack like accessibility to things like education, infrastructure.
But there's free education.
Yeah. No, there's still free education, but there's still people who are not able to. Because sometimes it's really not free education. They need uniform. They need ABCD, books. Exactly. So you find that the few things they may lack. And then on the other side, you find that being a single parent in the urban setup, it's more expensive because you have rent. You have to pay the school fees is kind of high.
I would imagine being a single parent in the rural setup is.
But you see,
it's more expensive. It's more.
No, you can imagine these guys. Maybe they have their own homes. Let's start with that. Mtu akona on compound mahali, akona kashamba pale, akona mboga zinamea. Ajui kwenda kwa mama mboga. Atenda tu kwa shamba. The only expense akona ni mafuta. So sometimes these guys are more wealthy than we are. It's just that they will lack exposure in certain things, which we do have. Unaona?
Okay.
So if you're to go and measure the difference, the things whereby they're in a much more better advantage than we are, and the things whereby we're in much more better advantage than they are.
Really?
I can guarantee for a fact. Yeah.
Talk to me.
So basically, you can...
Because this has been bothering me for a while. So try to demystify this too.
Ken, you have to understand. Sometimes we look at guys from shags in terms of like, how to know shago. Like, ingenetu tumetokea shago ndio tukuje town to survive. So we tend to associate town with survival than being in shags, which is not true. Because we'll say that you're running from shags to be, this poverty and all that, we've come to the city to find a better ABCD. But then you come to the city and you become poorer in terms of debt. So which one is better? Wishu shago penye, we ni maskini lakini hauna deni. Ama ukuje penye, we ni maskini na una deni. You're guaranteed at the end of the day, for most people, at the end of the day, Jumanatu nasemanga, nenda nyumbani. At the end of the day, they know there's a place they're going rent free. There's a place akuna mtoto knock knock. The only thing maybe they lack food, So you can imagine is that single shosho. Uko na grandkids unalea. Uko hivi, let's say watu kutoka town wanakutumanisha pesa za kulea hao watoto. So what do you have to cater for? You have to cater for certain essentials. You do have that social support. The people who they will always send money. Atatumanisha huyu, auntie apatie huyu, mwingine apatie huyu. But then in town, shamba la mawe.
True.
So you have also usisahau tuko na taxes, tuko na
tunaitwa Nairobi should have been called Landimawe.
but there is Landimawe.
I mean, Landimawe is a very small place, but Nairobi is, the whole of Nairobi is just Landimawe.
I'm telling you, like, I see people saying, oh, Siezenda, oh. There's a time I really actually wanted to move out of Nairobi. You know? I did want to move out of Nairobi because I'm thinking, okay, Nairobi is too expensive for me. Then I looked at where I want to move to. So I started seeing Nkanza way, the level of education some places where it's not quite well compared to this, because they are not really cared for, especially in that kind of ministry. It's neglected kiasi because these guys are focused in specific areas, you know. Then napige hesabu and sawa, I'll be here. But in case my child is sick or I am not feeling well, I have kilometers to go.
Lakini si Conchita, si Ochakwenu ni hapa tu.
What do you mean?
Ochakwenu ni outskirts of Nairobi. I mean,
I'm not trying to move next to my mother's house, Kin.
When Mutula
I'm trying to move away from my mother's house.
But look, when Mutula Kilozo was in government and he was alive, kulikuwa na something called Nairobi Metropolis.
Yes.
Nairobi
Metropolitan.
I think forget the Metropolitan. The Metropolis as a demographic. Kwenu bana.
In car we say ni lobby. No ba.
What's your history?
No ba.
First of all, your village is next to the road.
You know, I like when you say that, but the thing is, one thing I always tell people this story and they don't believe it.
You're a typical urban poor.
I am urban poor because I grew up in Ukambani, and that time my mother was a single mom before she remarried, and the people who were raising me were my grandparents. So I've lived there, ushago, you know. True story. My grandmother, no, unajonga venye watu nakwambianga, you'll have to
South B na South C ni ushago.
So hapo ni ocha. But me, I'm telling you, like Kitui Nzini, like inside a village called Iko Village.
Kitui what?
Nzini. Like inside. The people from Kitui, I tell them, oh no. I grew up in a place called Iko Village. They're like, what's that?
Conchita, there's a place called Nzini.
Nzini means inside. No kondani. This is true story, Ken, how I grew, like my childhood. For me to be able to get to school, and the school that I used to go to was called Mikuyuni Primary. Not there's Mukuyuni, but this one is Mikuyuni. Like we had, yes, like we had to cross a river to be able to walk, to be able to teremka kimlima to get to school.
How many kilometers? You're allowed to exaggerate.
It's a lot of kilometers.
You suffered.
A baby girl, Toto. Yes, I suffered. That's why I'm not trying to suffer as an adult.
Oh, you did.
But I'm telling you, for me to be able to get that level of education as a kid, we had to wake up at 4:30 for us to be able to get to school at 7 via walking. So if the Mother Nature decides kumeharibika, iyo river flood, my friend, hakuna shule tunaenda. Tunabaki tukichunga mbuzi.
Tunangoja kiangazi.
So you understand? Yet here,
we thank God for CBC and virtual learning.
Yes, yet here right now, for me, it's very simple. I can walk my kid to school. Tamaked. Barabara, you know. Hata mtu yeye anaweza jipeleka shule. Niko mwangalia. Wewe nini mbona hujafika kwa class? You know, you can even shout from your house. There's that easy accessibility to that level of education. But there's some places whereby it's a distance, you know. Let's look at the other thing. Let's talk in terms of food security wise. These guys are actually rich. Kwanza food yao ni organic, like fresh from the shamba. Sisi by the time tunaingia supermarket mazio food, tuanze kupata documentaries about sijui red meat, sijui meat from hell, sijui nini. Huyo akitaka akijisikia na steak, kangombe kanaangushwa. You know? eating healthy. But they think, no, mgala mwaki umpe. That is actually healthy living. Wanakula tungwashe, tunini hapo hivyo. Just go and dig sweet potatoes. Then here we have to go and buy. Kwanza unanunua sweet potato imekauka. Yani ile, you have to cut layers to be able to, to bring it out. So I can imagine being a single parent here and being a single parent in Orchard. There are both advantages and disadvantages from both perspective. I don't know. You tell me. me by the way, chanko baking. Ningekuwa na uwezo, if I would be in a good rural place whereby good quality of education, I can be able to access that for my kid. I can be able to access healthcare easily and so much more. Yeah? As a single parent, I would do it. Whereby I know I have my own home. I would move from Nairobi. I've never had an issue. But the thing is, as a parent, you think it's never about you. It's usually at what is the best thing for these kids. That's why utapata mtu anatuma watu wakuje town kutafuta pesa ende isaidie watu ushago. So now you can imagine as a single parent.
But you see now, there's always this notion that when you are in the city, if you're working in any of these cities,
I feel like we're the richest, good looking people. We're good at it.
The bank accounts have something. I have a story to tell.
I know kwanga gigo. Garbage in, garbage out.
Maisha ni ledger balance. Actual balance ni tofauti.
Yes.
So I think in my opinion, when you look at the rural setup, and the urban setup of single parents, you're right. Both carries weight in different measure, negative and positive. You have resources available, such as land.
Yes.
Well, whether it is plowed and all those things are done, that's another story. But there's that.
There's also the community support.
Then there's also that community aspect and community support. There's some level of simplicity of life that you can adapt to. But the urban setup, I mean, it's across board. Kama unga ni bei, everybody ananunua unga ya packet. Everybody ananunua.
Kinwa maisha je kwangu. Mbona kwamba kuna time maisha imenichapa. Nilikuwa natuma na unga kule. Unaona boda na manga? Uka.
Sijui. Umewahi tumia maziwa ya Uganda?
Sijafika level.
Tulia.
Lakini unga nimetumana.
You are an urban actually you are an urban middle class. So you're not urban poor.
My friend, I have been urban poor. And let me tell you, let me take from personal experiences. I've been in a place whereby at the end of the month, I have to look for money to use for that month. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Because you budget everything to the single coin. So it's more of like, as a single parent, I am working for, I don't know. I even ask myself, I'm looking, I'm like, I can't even save. Let's start with that. I'm thinking, okay, what do I have that I can be able to showcase? Saizi kikiumana, That's how I think most of us in urban suffered during COVID. Because we were living a very comfortable life. The life that we live is we get paid to survive for that month, then get paid to survive for that month, the next. And a lot of us are living like that, whereby we're not able to save because we're trying to make the best for every single situation. But when we do that, we forget, oh my goodness, what about tomorrow? And that's why you will find people still in their parents' home at a certain age. Mtusema, huyu mbona amekapa? Mimi nikiwa miaka siwezi kaa kwa mamangu. My friend, it's because you look at how like it's cheaper living there so that you can be able to live in the city than living in a situation whereby you are completely like, what is this?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Absolutely. So I've been urban poor, my friend. I don't want.
I think me have been both.
Well, urban poor is not for the weak-hearted. Now, sometimes you budget, you unapiga budget hiyo mwezi, and you see, for me, I've always done that. Every month I have to
But you see,
budget.
Conchita, you know, perhaps you're assuming that the rural one is the rural.
I'm not
the rural
assuming they're
system.
better than us,
I mean, if you look at.
but they have some advantages whereby I wish I had.
For example, I know what you mean. I mean, for
Yeah.
example, rent.
Yes,
Yeah, which takes a big chunk of.
it does.
Yeah.
And sometimes I look at the amount I'm paying for rent, I'm like, if I knew a place that is so good, I can be able to have a nearby good quality. Because for me, my main number one focus for my kid is usually quality of education. Because I have friends who have had, good quality of education.
Yes.
I've seen the worth for it. I'm not trying to be, by the time my child is grown, they take care of themselves. I've done my job till a certain level, and that's why I'm sacrificing to make sure that I don't mind subsidizing my lifestyle. I don't mind coming down to a level that I don't look like it, as some people say. Yeah. But I have a mini me. I want her to have a better life than. So that means I have to
Yeah.
Which ningekuwa niko na kamuda mahari na nimejega kanyumba. I'll be like, okay, now let's focus this on something else. So to some extent, I would agree there's a single parent in Shags who has way better advantage than I do, because there's certain things that are weighing me down that they're uplifting them up.
I agree.
And I can tell you that a lot of them are richer than most of us.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
It's just that shida inakuanga tu styling. Like we're not here to slay, we're here to raise kids.
sling methodology, you're kidogo different.
Yeah, that's the kidogo difference. But these guys are doing quite well. They're doing amazing for themselves, And not all of them are equally well. There are those who are also like rural, rich, and they're doing quite well.
Yeah. I would love to be rural rich.
To be quite honest, I would love to be rural rich.
Yeah.
Because that to me, it's like, I think, retirement goal. Like you've lived in the city for so long, it's the same old, like nothing new. So what else are they going to do? Wacha nikuje basi nilipe kwenda KCC so moja amani. How much is it right now? A G? Niende niangalie city venye. I don't mind being a local tourist.
Unakuja Nairobi from time to time.
Yeah, I just be like, and I have such friends who are like, Conchita nakuja Nairobi. Mtoto wako Narok. And you're like, yeah, I'm just coming to. And when they moved out of Nairobi, to be quite honest, I can see the change of certain things. I'm like, okay, is it Nairobi or is it those other urban towns? Is it because we're in the capital whereby a lot of things we see the massive weight of things? Because how comes those ones who are wametoka to, actually their lives become a little bit better? So if I'm to get a good place and all that, I can guarantee you, I have no business in Nairobi right now. Okay, except for work and my kid. And of course, oh my God, we're stuck here.
It's always very interesting to try to understand the two setups for
Yeah.
single parent and the struggles, because financial stress affects single parents differently in different levels.
Yeah.
There is the abandonment, just the sheer fact that you're doing it alone, and so many struggle in that direction. And then there is in the urban setups where you have, for example, now we're having these mandamano things that were going around.
Yeah.
And you're in the urban setup, you're a single parent. First of all, you're trying to make ends meet.
Yes.
Of a roof over the kid's head. You're trying to figure out how things should look like,
True.
And then you have these external threats, like now mandamanos here and all that. It's not the same as somebody who is in a rural setup where they have their own a house where they're not paying rent.
Yeah.
He has the possibility of putting a kitchen garden and eating out of that, small amenities here and there to run around. The income problem is still the same. And then you find that some of the rural in a rural setup,
Yeah.
so people also slide into poverty
Yeah.
Priorities changes. So you find as a man, and it's sometimes not out of ignorance at all. It's out of the decision that you want to survive. So you find somebody invest money in a motorbike, for example, and that becomes a daily thing. And then of course there's also the other social life that comes with it. So both the rural setup person and the urban setup person find themselves in more or less similar situation, different economics, different expense levels, but at the same time, I think there's none that finds it easier than the other.
True.
Situations are different, but it all depends
Do
on
you
the
know, I
sacrifice.
came to realize that rural areas have some solutions that we really don't see, in towns. Like, for the first time, I never actually knew it was a thing, but these guys have paid this one for cooking. They're actually solutions which are tailored for rural areas that we don't get to see in the urban sector. And when I was doing a certain project and I was seeing these things, it's like a culture shock. And I'm living in the same country. And I'm thinking, okay, so if they can be able to simplify these things, if they make it also available for the urban, I feel like lifestyle, it's usually a main focus more than, the actual things we go through. That is one of the biggest issue. And that's why you'll find that most of the single parents, we don't get to live a very realistic life. And initially I was like that. The life I was living, it's like, it's not me. It reached a point I had to call myself for Kutano, I'm like, okay, Conchita 1, Conchita 2, come here. We can't live like this. So when you have that kind of realistic life, sometimes things become easy because you get to learn to live by your means. I have seen a parent who always living the best life, always buying you a beer every single time. But then in the background, the person is actually struggling. But this is the kind of person who cannot be able to sacrifice, So by the time I'm having this conversation, like, it reached a point whereby people are like, oh, we don't see you nowadays. I'm like, no, it's because I budgeted for when I'm going to go out. I know. If I know I cannot be able to afford my 2-3 beers, you will never see me anywhere.
Yeah.
I'll be chilling in the house, enjoying my amenities. I enjoy that KPLC because I paid for it. I enjoy that rent because today I'm like, I am enjoying my money. Because I learned to live per my means, To so many people, with us, the issue is we become so obsessed with society because we're in urban, that's what we're supposed to do. Then we forget to be realistic, and then now we become messed up. That's why sometimes our finances are bad. We end up taking so much loan to survive, yet in real sense, there's a way we could have planned ourselves better to be able to make sure that we can be able to afford this life. If we can't, I always tell people, imagine it's not so bad to subsidize. The only problem with women like myself, I don't know, there's a certain level when we reach coming down is usually an issue. It's a us problem.
It's not just women. I think also men, the same thing.
Yeah.
Downscaling is always a problem.
So you can imagine me as a single mother, there's people used to sing me. So then you see me, and then now that becomes my downfall.
Yeah.
Then I start straining and, anyway.
Unrealistic approach to life. Sometimes.
Yes.
There's also the social class that you want to maintain.
I know. That's the other thing.
And then back in 2017, 2018, 2019, before the pandemic, I used to see this a lot. For me, I made adjustments where necessary. And it's never an easy decision.
It's not.
And it's a very bold move to take. In many cases, kufa gari, kufa dereva.
Sometimes you lose things for just a period of time. It reached a point. There's a certain social class and group of friends we never spoke, because we're like, oh my goodness, this nowadays it's not that. It's just that I realized I was living past my means. I am happy for those who can be able to afford, like 100%. Don't get me wrong. Absolutely. I'm happy for you, but I can't. I cannot compete with someone who doesn't have a kid. Mtu ako na iPhone 14. Mimi nene no iPhone, and I know damn well it's going to strain me. I can't do that.
It can't work.
It can't work. So you find that we try to keep up so much on a certain level, but in real sense, we are the ones who are going to be struggling. We're the ones who are going to end up with our own shit. Forgive my French. And then we have to fix that, which is going to be strenuous. Now you can imagine you as a single parent of not more than one, for more than one kid. That is 2 extra mouths to feed.
Absolutely.
Then you have to get a nanny. That's another mouth that you have to feed. Absolutely. Then you have to get, I don't know what. If you have to get a car, you have to get a what? Extra expenses. So you tell me, as such kind of person, you're like an urban middle class poor person.
Poorest of the middle class.
Exactly. Compared to the person compared to the person, you know, in the shags. Yeah.
Absolutely. You're
so
absolutely right.
I think it's
It's one of those.
It's one of those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
If this is the first time listening to us, welcome. Let's talk about how single parenthood life is affecting you and share your experiences. Also, don't forget to rate us and review on Apple Podcasts, comment on YouTube, and share on that Spotify link. Find us on SoundCloud, Spotify, or anywhere you get your podcast. Our socials are Single Parenthood all across the board. Ciao! See you on the next episode.